Brooke here from the Vintage Gardener. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm trying a new video program on my laptop. I don't usually do these talking head videos, but I wasn't really feeling Zoom, so I'm trying Photo Booth and I'm using my webcam, and as you can see, I'm using a filter. So we'll see how this goes. I think I look more clear in this video than I did on Zoom, so that's probably a good thing. But anyway, this video is really a retaping of a video that I had done earlier this year. It's just when I went back and saw that video, I realized I was in the car, my camera kept bouncing up and down, I was picking up a lot of extraneous sounds, and it just didn't sound right, so I'm just gonna start over. So as you guys can see from the title, I'm ending a love affair, and it is gardening related. It is gardening related. The love affair that I'm ending is with David Austin roses. Now guys, listen, I don't hate David Austin roses, and it's not that in future I won't buy the occasional rose. But pretty much for a number of years now, I've been buying almost exclusively David Austin roses. You know, roses were the plant that kind of got me into gardening. For years, I struggled to keep things alive. I eventually realized that the issue was I was using grafted roses instead of own root roses. And so I found heirloomroses.com. I ordered some David Austin roses, and that's how I ended up into David Austin roses. Now, the thing with David Austin roses is that what they say is healthy and what is healthy in a healthy plant in my region are two different things. So there was ones that everyone said, oh, this performs well. I had a hard time with. So I did lose over time. I did lose a bunch of David Austin roses. And I'm constantly just trying out to see which ones actually worked well for where I was and where I am now. So I do have a number, and you know, and I will keep those. And like I said, if I find the odd one that I really, really like, I'll get it. But in terms of, is every rose in my garden going to be David Austin rose? No. I'm going to be incorporating some other things. Now, even after I got into David Austin roses, I did get some antique roses. I found the first on heirloomroses.com, and then I eventually went to Antique Rose Emporium and got some there. And to be quite honest, I think the antique roses perform better to me than the David Austin roses. I find that they're a lot more disease resistant. They get black spot, but I don't know. They just seem to handle it better than the David Austin roses. The only thing with the real downside for me with the David Austin roses is that they're landscape roses primarily. There are some that they say are good for cutting, but I don't think they have necessarily the greatest like vase life. And so when I was getting David Austin roses, I wanted to use some for like flower, bouquets and that sort of thing. But I get them in the water, and like a day or two later, all the petals are on the thing. They just don't last very long. So that's been a little bit frustrating. And I'm sure if you guys have seen videos I've done on florography, if I'm using roses, a lot of times I've either gotten them from the store, or I'm only using one, and that's the only one I could find out in my yard that kind of looks like it might last. So if you guys look at the commemorative bouquet I did for Queen Elizabeth, you'll notice I only used one rose in there, and that's why. So that is a little bit frustrating because I would like to make a lot of bouquets. So I got into old garden roses, and I think I'm going to continue that. But this past year, last year and this year, I had some experiences with David Austin. So back in 2022, I ordered Thomas à Becket, and I ordered two of them. And one was Thomas à Becket, the other one was mislabeled, and it was yellow, and it went into the red section, so that wasn't that great. So when I called David Austin, they said they would send me a replacement, but they were going to have to wait till the following year, and I said, okay, fine. Meanwhile, I ordered two new roses. One was, I think, the Elizabeth, and the other one was Nive Bevan. And so I got them this year, and first off, when I got them, I was like, I mean, I ordered a lot of David Austin roses. And these were like barely hanging on. Knife Bevan, just, it was mostly dead. The Elizabeth, I thought maybe I could, would pull through. Neither of them pulled through. So I called David Austin about Knife Bevan because that one died first. And they sent me out another one, and that one was looking looking dead too. I know the way they typically come. I'll be honest. I personally think that because of how warm our winter is, I personally think they sent those roses too late. And I'm not really sure what it is. It's just that typically when I get the David Austin roses, you can see the buds, and the buds are already starting to come out. These were just sticks. They had no budding. Like like I said, they looked mostly dead when I got them. And I've ordered a bunch of roses from David Austin over the past years. I've never had roses that looked like that. With the Thomas & Becket, they were supposed to be sending me, apparently there's a quality control issue, so they sent me Emily Bronte. Now, Emily Bronte, I've planted. It's doing well, and let's talk about that. So they sent me Emily Bronte, and for reasons that I don't understand, I've been living here since 2019, November 2019. And so I had a David Austin account when I lived in my old house. And so when I got to this house, once again, I ordered Desdemona. So I changed my address and made this my default address. And that's how it's on the thing. For reasons that I do not understand, with Emily Bronte, they decided that they were going to send Emily Bronte to my old address. So when I called them, I was trying to get them to hold it. That was a whole ordeal. And I was able to get a hold of FedEx because I had like a FedEx account, and I was able to basically have them hold it at Walgreens. But then David Austin couldn't change the label, and so it was like they weren't sure if I was going to be able to get it. And so at the end of the day, I was able to get it because I realized that some utility I had was still at my old address, because I do all my stuff online. So I do paperless billing. I don't get any paper bills. And so I had one that I had not changed. So I printed out that one, and I was able to go to Walgreens and get it. So like I said, I planted it. First off, when I took it out of the box, it looked like the way David Austin roses are supposed to look when they're bare root. So I got it in the ground. It's already flushed out once. And it's doing well. Last I saw, it was doing fine. It's something is blocking it, but from when I was in there doing some weeding, it looks like it was doing just a-okay. So that one was fine. So Emily Bronte is not one I would have ordered, but that's the replacement that I got, and they told me they were going to send me Thomas & Becket next year. So we'll see if that actually happens. So I don't know. The other thing was that the David Austin roses customer service left much to be desired. I don't know what was going on. It was like their phones, they were getting so many calls that their phones were shut off. And I've never seen that happen at David Austin roses. Typically, when you call customer service, you always get through. And I was literally trying for days and days and days, and I was emailing. They weren't returning the emails. So at the end of the day, I was like, 2023 seems to have been a rough year for David Austin, and I don't know what was going on in Texas, but it seemed to be just really rough. So that kind of, I was, like I said, I want to have roses for cutting, and that kind of put me off a little bit. So I am creating a rose garden, and there'll be a whole video on that. But with the rose garden, I really want to make sure that I have roses for cutting. And to be quite honest, I want to have a lot of flowers for cutting. This year, I haven't been making nearly as many bouquets because my perennials are totally outpacing all the annuals. And so my annuals just haven't been performing because they're just getting overtaken by the perennials. I mean, literally, they're just getting like bulldozed over. So when I creating this new rose garden, I have I'm going to have certain sections just specifically designated for annuals, and I have a what I think is going to be a good method to ensure that none of the perennials or anything encroach on them. So anyway, um, although I do have some David Austin roses in there, and there's one or two David Austin roses that I'm going to order. I am trying, well, number one, I'm going with Antique Rose Emporium because I love their stuff. And there's some old garden roses that I had in my last garden that I don't have here that I want to get back. So Cornelia, which is a hybrid musk rose, Variegata di Bologna. I'm going to go with the fairy. I got that one for my mom. There's a climber version, which is really, really vigorous. And I want to cover that tree stump that I have outside. And there's a couple of other ones that I saw that I'm going to get. And I'm going to be giving a try to Grace Rose Farm. So Grace Rose Farm, they sell, they're primarily a cut flower farmer, but they do sell rose bushes. And so all the rose bushes they sell are designed or have been picked because they are good for cut flowers. So I've ordered, I think, 9 thus far, and they seem to be having sales recently. So when they have things on sale, especially if I like it, I've been ordering them, and I know that I'll get them next spring. And so, yeah, so like I said, a couple of David Austin's here or there, Antique Rose Emporium, and Grace Rose Farm. If I see anything that I think is really, if I see on like a gardening thing, like somebody just really loves it, I'll try it. I did go and see the rose garden at Longwood, which was nice, but the one at Morris Arboretum, I think is like the best. And they had a lot of roses that I had never seen or heard before, but they had great scent and that sort of thing. So I'm going to see if I can get some of those. I'm going to give it a try. So I'm probably going to order some roses from Wick House in Germantown, Philly. Their website has been acting kind of funky, but they have a lot of antique roses. Some of them only bloom once, but you know what? That's fine with me. I just would like to have a really lovely smelling rose garden. So anyway, it's not that I hate David Austin roses. It's just that I don't know. For where I was in my gardening journey, they were good because, like I said, I was getting them to survive. And some of them I've had for a couple of years. But, like I said, I kind of expanded out into some antique ones, and I found ones that I really, really like. They're performing very well. They're very vigorous, and I really do like that. And so I'm just gonna spread my wings a little bit. I'm not naive. I know fully well that even when it comes to trying new roses, I know that not everything is going to be an instant success. I know some of them are probably going to die. Some of them just may not do well in my zone. But I'm willing to I'm willing to take the risk. Grace Rose Farm seems to get a fair amount of stuff from Europe. And I'll be quite honest, there's a lot of good stuff. Europe's got a lot of good flower stuff. And so I don't know. I like I said, I'm spreading my wings, and I'm hoping that I find some good things that will do well in landscape, do well in a cut flower, have fragrance, and will just hold up well in New Jersey. So anyway, guys, that is the tea on me falling out of love with David Austin. I mean, listen, I'm always going to have a soft spot in my heart for David Austin roses. I really will. But, I know from what I've seen, I think they're going to start updating their lines because, climate, weather is changing. And I think they're realizing that some of their roses for the changing climate is not going to work. So, they may have some new varieties that come out that actually I may end up that may do better given what we're dealing with today. So once again, it's not that I won't do it. It's just that it's not going to be the only rose in my garden, especially considering the fact that I found some other ones. So anyway, that is it for this video. So make sure you come back on Saturday because I am doing a showing you some pictures and a tour that I did at Win Eden, which is in Pennsylvania. It is a private garden. I think they do sort of offer some tours, but I got to tour it as part of my gardening, one of my gardening groups, the Hearty Plant Society. So you definitely have to see that, because that was a phenomenal garden. The next time my mom's in town, I'm definitely gonna have to go back. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.